Okay, so remember our previous discussion on interface, Palo Alto interface type?
Yeah, tab.
Now we can
We
try
were.
to, yes. Now we are trying to configure our interface, okay? So we have L3 interface, L2 interface type, tap interface concept, virtual
were.
wire, and HA interface.
It's
So these options are available. Let's focus on how to configure L3 interface in Palo Alto. Okay.
okay.
So I have a small topology. I have a small topology for interface configuration. You can see here we have Ethernet 1/1. So into this small topology, Ethernet 1/1, I'm using for LAN network. Okay. For LAN side network. So on Ethernet 1/1, we can configure 200 network, 200.200.0/24. Ethernet 1/2, this interface we are using for public network as a public interface. So here we can configure IP address through DHCP. Okay, so here we can use option DHCP option, and on Ethernet 1/1, we will configure IP address through static method. Clear? With manual method. Ajit.
Okay.
So let's go here. I'm trying to access before configure interfaces. You can verify interface information here through CLI.
Okay.
Before configure our interface option. Wait. So let's verify IP address information on Ethernet 1/1 and on Ethernet 1/2. Show interface Ethernet. So you can see there is no any Ethernet interface. See?
Yeah.
If you type show interface, right now there is no any Ethernet 1/1 interface and 1/2 interface here. So let's try to configure first. Okay, for interface configuration, you can click on network tab, and these are the physical interfaces, Ajit. So I'm trying to configure Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2. So you can select your interface or you can click your interface. Ethernet 1/1. If you remember interface type in Palo Alto interface type, see, this is interface Ethernet 1/1 we are trying to configure, and here you can select interface type. So if you click on interface type, you can get all the options. See, tap interface concept, HA, virtual wire, layer 2 and layer 3. So here you can select your interface type. For example, if I'm using this interface as a tap interface, so you can select. If you select this interface type as a tap interface, so you can see only these two options are available: config tab and advanced tab. Okay. So you can see in config tab, there is no any option for IP address configuration. What you can do, you can assign this interface in a zone.
Okay.
You cannot configure IP address. So see,
Repeat.
it means we cannot configure IP address on tap interface.
Okay.
If you click on advanced, see there is no any option for IP address configuration. Now, if you select interface type HA, so in case if you want to use this data interface as a high availability link, high availability interface, so yes, you can select interface type HA. So here you can select only interface type. You cannot configure here. Ajit, okay. For configuration, we can go into the device tab and we can configure. But here you can select. Here you can select interface type. Now, if you go with the next option, virtual wire. So remember virtual wire concept.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, what you can do if you go with virtual wire interface type, so you can assign this interface in virtual wire. You need to assign this interface in a zone. And see, if you click on advanced option, you can see you cannot configure IP address onto this interface. So I told you, if you are using interface type as a virtual wire interface, you cannot configure IP address. Clear?
Yeah.
Now let's go with the next option. It's called layer 2. So it's a switch port. In case if you want to use your interface as a layer 2 interface, like normal switch port, so you can see config tab. You can assign this interface to a VLAN. You can create a security zone. And if you click on advanced, there is no any option available for IP address configuration. Right now, our focus is on IP address configuration, right? So you can click on interface type. You can select L3 interface, L3 interface. And if you select interface type L3, so now you can see config tab, IP version 4, IP version 6, and advanced tab. So these options are available for interface type L3. So I'm trying to configure IP address. So interface type L3 right now. You can click on config tab. In config tab, you can see you have two options, virtual router. So you need to assign this interface to a virtual router. You need to create security zone because Palo Alto is a zone-based firewall box. So you need to create zone and you need to define your interface to respective zone. Ajit, clear?
Yeah. Yeah. Clear.
So here, what is a virtual router? What is virtual router concept in Palo Alto? What is virtual router? So if you remember in routing switching concept, if you remember in routing switching concept, there is a topic, it's called VRF concept. Any idea about VRF?
It's like each instance for the router, right? And something like that, right?
Yes.
Like it's a
So it's,
separate
yes,
router.
it's called virtual routing and forwarding. It means we can divide our single
So,
global routing table into multiple virtual routing table, or you can say you can divide your single router into multiple virtual router, right?
virtual.
That is called VRF concept. So same kind of concept we have in Palo Alto. In Palo Alto, this concept is called virtual router. So what we can do, for example, I have a Palo Alto firewall box with multiple data interfaces, These are the data interfaces, data interface. So what I can do, I can create virtual router A, and I can put these three interfaces into virtual router A. I can create virtual router B, and these three interfaces, they are participating in virtual router B. I can create virtual router C. Now, virtual router, now we have three separate, it's not a firewall, okay, Ajit, okay? It's not a firewall. If you are dividing your single firewall box into multiple virtual firewall box, so you need to go with the concept, it's called virtual system, Ajit.
Okay.
It's not like we are dividing our single firewall box into multiple, like in Fortinet, we have VDOM concept. We can divide our single firewall box into multiple. In Cisco, you can go with security context, virtual firewall concept. So it's not like a virtual firewall, okay? We are not dividing our single firewall box into multiple virtual firewall box. No. What we are doing, we are trying to divide our global routing table into multiple separate routing table. So I can create a virtual router A, and I can put these three interfaces into virtual router A. Now in virtual router A, I can assign this interface as a LAN port, this interface as a DMZ port, this interface as a WAN port. So in case if you want to allow traffic from LAN to DMZ side, LAN to WAN side, So in case if you want to configure policy, if you want to configure NAT rule, so you need to go into the virtual router A. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like this virtual router means for one route it's a separate instance. The another virtual
Yes, we
route
have
maybe
three
is a different
separate. Yes, we like
three
VRF
separate.
concept. We
Okay.
have three separate. We have three separate virtual. We have three separate routing table. You can say
So it
okay.
means it doesn't communicate each other
They cannot communicate with each other. Yes,
to each other.
they cannot communicate. No. Now, in
Okay.
case if you want to configure routing in between LAN interface, DMZ interface, WAN interface, so you need to go in virtual router A.
Virtual router.
So now, see if you click on here. See if you click on here. So by default, here we have a default
Diff.
virtual router. Default virtual router. So you can go with default option. Otherwise, see, if you click on here is a tab, here is tab virtual router. If you click on virtual router, you can get all virtual router information here. So here we
Okay.
have a default virtual router. In case if you want to create, you can click on add and you can create multiple virtual routers.
Okay.
You can click on add and this is the option. Now let's try to configure interface. You can click on interface. So interface 1/1, I'm trying to configure. Interface type, I'm using L3 interface type. So interface type is L3 interface type. So let's create a new virtual router, or otherwise you can go with the default option. Let's create a virtual router. So I'm creating virtual router VIR. You can give any name here, no problem.
Okay.
You can see into this virtual router, you can configure static routing, redistribution, RIP, OSPF version 3, BGP, multicast. So you can configure all the routing option into this virtual router. So I'm
Virtual.
creating VIR. VIR. You can click on OK. How to configure routing? We'll discuss later. Right now, we are creating virtual router.
Virtual.
Okay, so this Ethernet 1/1 is participating in virtual router VIR.
VA.
Now we can create a security zone because Palo Alto is a zone-based firewall box. So we need to create zone. We need to put our interface to their respective zones. So this interface I'm using as a LAN LAN network. I'm using for LAN
Okay.
network. So we can create a zone LAN zone. LAN zone. You can click on. You can give any name, no problem. But
Okay.
here I'm
Okay.
using LAN. Click on OK. Now, if you click on IPv4 address configuration, you can see we have three options. You can configure IP address with a static method. You can go with PPOE, point-to-point protocol over Ethernet, or you can go with the DHCP client option. Right now, I'm trying to configure IP address with the static method. So
Static.
let's go with the static.
Okay.
You can click on add here. Type is what is static. You can click on add. Now, you need to create an object here because Palo Alto, it's an object-oriented firewall box. So here we can create an object like IP address object, and these objects we can use in our configuration. How to
Okay.
work with objects, I will tell you later, okay, Ajit? But right
Okay.
now, I'm creating a single IP address object for this
Okay.
IP address configuration. Clear my point?
Yeah.
So you can click on address. You can click on address and you can give a name. You can give a name for this object. It's object name. Like for example, LAN 200 dot. It's just a name. It's not IP address. IP address you can configure here. 200.1/24. You can click on OK. So here we have a LAN object. Now you can attach. Now in case if you want to configure IP version 6 IP, so you can click on IP version 6. See, IP version 6. If you know the format of IP version 6, remember in IP version 6 we have 128-bit. It is in a hexadecimal format, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have idea about IP version 6, or in case if you want to configure IPv6, you can see you can enable IPv6 on interface. You can click on add option. You can create IPv6 address object. You can click on address and just example. IPv6 IPv6 hyphen user one, just a name, object name. And here you can configure IPv6 address. So for example, I'm using 2001:10:1:45 1/64. Done. You can click on OK. You can click on OK. Done. Now you can click on Advanced tab. So remember I told you on data interfaces, see on data interfaces, nothing is enabled, right?
Yeah.
We have two type of interfaces, data interfaces, Ajit, right? And management interface. By default, on management interface, we have three services. Three services are enabled: ping,
Ping,
HTTP, and HTTPS
SSL.
service, right? But on data interfaces, this is what data interface, on data interface, nothing is allowed. All the services are disabled, Ajit. You can, in case if you want to enable any services, so you can create management profile here. You can create management profile. You can click here, you can click on management profile. What is management profile? So here you can get all services information. See, these are the services. So you can create
If we
services
want, we
bundle.
can enable through the management profile, right? For that interface.
Yeah, management profile, it's just a name. It is okay.
Name. Yeah.
It's you can say it's a services bundle name. You can
Okay.
combine multiple services. For example, onto this interface, you want to enable SSH service, telnet service, ping service. So you can combine, you can select. So you can select telnet, SSH, and ping service. And this combination name you can define here as a management profile. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
So management profile, it's called it's what? It's a combination of services. Okay. So you can add multiple services like telnet, SSH, and ping, and you can give a name for this profile. Right now I'm using MGMT PC1 or MGMT done. MGMT1. You can click on OK. So here we have a management profile, MGMT1, and into this management profile we have three services: telnet, SSH, and ping. Now you can click on OK. You can click on OK. Done. Our interface configuration Ethernet 1/1. So you can see it's a layer 3 interface, management port, IP address, virtual router, security zone is LAN zone.
Okay.
Now let's try to configure IP address on Ethernet 1/2. 1/2. So into this topology, I'm using DHCP option for Ethernet 1/2. And this cloud is what? This cloud is my Wi-Fi modem.
Okay.
So this interface will get a IP address automatically through my Wi-Fi modem. So you can select DHCP. So Ethernet 1/2. Interface type, it's a L3 interface type.
L3.
Virtual router, it's a VIR.
VR.
Security zone, so we are creating security zone WAN zone. Now you can click on OK. You can click on OK. IPv4 address. So you can click on IPv4 address. You can see DHCP option. You can select. If you select DHCP option, so DHCP service is enabled here. It's enabled. And you can see one more option: automatically create a default route pointing to the default gateway. So you can see through my Wi-Fi modem, I'm getting this series of IP. Let me show you. Through my Wi-Fi modem, I'm getting 192.168 network series of IPs. And this is my gateway. 1.1 is my gateway. So if I'm using DHCP option, okay, onto this interface Ethernet 1/2. 1/2. So this interface will get a IP address automatically first, and it's automatically create a default route pointing to the gateway. What is gateway? 192.168.1.1. Clear my point?
Yeah.
If you don't want to create default route, no problem. You can uncheck this option. In case if you want to configure default route or static route manually as per your requirement, so you can. But let's go with this option. Okay, automatically create default route pointing to default gateway. So DHCP option, you can click on advanced, and I'm trying to attach my management profile. So MGMT1, you can click on OK. Now you can click on commit. You can click on commit, And let's verify IP address information now. IP address information on Ethernet 1/1 and on Ethernet 1/2. To interface Ethernet 1/1. Let's verify IP address information on Ethernet 1/1, and you can see 200.200.200.1, right? On Ethernet 1/1,
Yeah.
200.200.200.1. And remember our IP version 6 address configuration?
Yeah.
And management profile. So we are using management profile MGMT1. So services, ping, telnet, and SSH. I hope it's clear for you.
Yeah.
Jeet. Now
Yeah.
we can verify IP address information on Ethernet 1/2. Show interface Ethernet 1/2. So you can see I'm not getting IP address. Okay, let me check. Oh, wait, the switch is down. Wait.
So for the lab purpose, we are doing the DHCP. Otherwise, the
Sorry?
production, the lab purpose, we are using DHCP, right?
Yes,
The
DSP.
production, we
Yes.
are to manually configure the IP address, right?
Yes, in real scenario, you can decide. Okay, you can
Yeah,
decide.
okay.
Static or DSCP, you can decide. But for our lab setup, we are using
Using DHCP.
DSCP service on Ethernet 1/2.
Okay.
Let's verify IP address information again.
Okay.
Show interface Ethernet 1/2. Wait, it will take time. See, we are getting IP address onto this Ethernet 1/2. See, IP address through DSCP, management profile,
For hell.
and services.
Okay.
You know, so we
Yeah.
are getting 192.168.1.11. So same series of IP address we have. See, we are using 192.168.1.network. So same series of IP address is available here. 1.11 we are getting. Now we can verify one more information. Remember, if you select DSCP option, it will automatically create default route pointing to the gateway. Ajit. So
Yeah.
let's verify our routing table information. Show routing route command we can use to verify our routing table. So yes, we have a default route. We have a default route pointing to the gateway. This is gateway.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
Same routing table information you can verify with graphical page. So you can, what you
This
can
default, the LAN device will use this default route, or we have to do different default route?
see, here we have, it's automatically create. Okay. If you select
Create.
Ethernet,
Okay. Okay.
if you select DHCP service on any interface, so it can, like, for example, we are using Ethernet 1/2. We are using DHCP service on Ethernet 1/2, right? So it will
Yeah.
automatically get a IP address through DHCP service, and it's create a default route automatically.
Automatically on the.
So we are trying to verify, as per our
Okay.
configuration, we are trying to verify default route is available or not. So yes,
Okay.
we have a default route pointing to the gateway, pointing to 192.168.1.1. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now wait. Now, in case if you want to verify routing table information through graphical page, so you can click on virtual router. And here we have our virtual router VIR. You can click on more runtime state. And here you can verify your routing table information. See,
Default route.
default route pointing to the gateway. Now, if we have a proper IP address configuration, so we can verify our connectivity. Okay, let's verify our connectivity.
Mhm.
So let's go on to the CLI option. So we have a default route pointing to the gateway. So wait, show interface Ethernet 1/2. We have IP address 1/2, IP address on 1/2, 192.168.1.11.
11.
And we have a default route pointing to the gateway. So in our topology, here, see, Ajit,
Mhm.
this series what? This series of private IP address series, right?
Yeah.
But see, in our topology, we have a simple topology, you can say, okay, a firewall with LAN network and WAN network. So this portion is a WAN in our topology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so what we have IP address onto this Ethernet 1/2 and default route pointing to the ISP side. So let's verify default route again. So we have a default route pointing to the ISP side, or you can say pointing to the gateway as per our topology. So in case if I'm trying to verify my connectivity, okay, I'm trying to verify my internet connectivity. So you can use a command ping source. So I'm trying to ping with 1.11 IP address, and destination is host is 8.8.8.8. So this is the syntax. If you want to verify your connectivity, so ping command source. So I'm trying to ping from this IP address to this destination IP address. This is the syntax. So I'm trying to ping 8.8.8 right now. I'm trying to verify internet connectivity is available or not on Palo Alto Firewall box, because we have a default route pointing to the gateway, right? We have a
Yeah.
default route pointing to the ISP site. Ajit, clear my point?
Yeah. I got
So
it.
you can press enter and we can verify.
Yes, sir.
See, we have an internet connectivity. See, we have an internet connectivity.
Yeah.
Now, let's verify connectivity on LAN side. LAN side. So ping source 200.200.200.1 and destination. So we can verify IP address information. Wait. Let's verify IP address. IP config 200.200.245. So let's verify connectivity. So destination is 200.200.200.45. And we are getting reply. Clear?
Yeah.
Basic IP address configuration and connectivity part. Ajit?
Yeah.
Clear for you?
Yeah. I
Okay.
got it.
Okay. Now, so you can click on interface and now you can configure your physical interface. This is the option. Now, in case if you want to create zone, multiple zone, for example, DMZ1, DMZ2, DMZ3. So you can see here is the option zone.
Okay.
Zone. So you can click on zone. You can see here we have our zone, LAN zone and WAN zone. This Ethernet 1/1. 1/1 we are using for LAN zone. 1/2 we are using for WAN zone. In case if you want to create DMZ1 zone, DMZ2 zone, so you can create. You can click on add, and here you can decide. You can give a name. You can give a name, for example, DMZ1, and now type. So
Okay.
you are creating zone for tap interface or for virtual wire or for layer 2, layer 3. For example, if I'm using tap, for example, okay, if you click
Mhm.
on OK. So yes, I have a zone, DMZ zone, but type is what? Tap. Let's create another zone. For example, DMZ2. I am creating DMZ2 and interface type is L3. L3. You can click on OK. Now this time, if I'm trying to configure any interface, for example, I'm trying to configure Ethernet 1/5, for example, 1/5. So in case if you select interface type tab, so you have a security zone, DMZ1, right?
DMs. Oh, yeah.
Only DMZ1, see?
Okay.
No LAN zone, WAN zone, or DMZ2, no. If
So
you select interface type L3, if you select interface type L3, so you can see all zones are available. LAN, WAN, DMZ2. Clear?
Yeah.
So when you are creating your zone, so you can decide your type, zone type. You are creating zone for tap interface or for L3 interface or for switch. You can decide. For example, I'm trying to put this Ethernet 1/5 into DMZ zone, DMZ2. You can click on it. So you can create multiple zones. You can create multiple zones in case if you want to create multiple VLANs. So yes, you can create multiple VLANs. Virtual router. Yes, we have a separate practical for virtual router. I will show you. But here is the option. You can create virtual wire here. Virtual wire concept. Let me give you the basic idea. You can click on add and you can give a name. You can give a name. For example, wire, vwire 22. Vwire 22. It's just a name, virtual wire name.
Okay.
Now you can see into this vwire configuration, Ajit, we have only two interface options. See,
Yeah.
interface 1 and interface 2. So you can add only two interfaces with this virtual wire 22. That's why it's called virtual wire pairing. You can add multiple two interfaces. One interface for as a ingress and one interface is for as a egress interface.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can decide, for example, you can click, and right now there's no interface. So what we can do, you can click on interfaces. And for example, port number 6 and 7, we are using for virtual wire configuration. Okay, we'll do a proper lab. Okay, right now I'm giving you the basic idea.
Okay.
We'll do a proper lab. Now you can select virtual wire, virtual wire. So virtual wire you can create here. You can create, or no problem. If you want to create later, so you can. Otherwise, you can create virtual wire, for example, V wire 1, V wire 22. Now see, let's select interface type right now. We'll create virtual wire here. So let's select interface type, virtual wire. Now security zone, let's click on okay. Security zone will configure later. 1/7 interface type I'm using as a virtual wire. You can click on okay. Now this time if you go into the virtual wire concept, if you go with virtual wire concept, you can click on add. You can give a name. You can give a name, and now this time you can select your interface. See,
Okay.
for example, I'm creating V wire 22. So 1/6 and 1/7. You can click on OK. So you can create virtual wire, virtual wire. Now, virtual router, yes, we can create virtual router for L3 interface configuration. Now, you can click on interface management. Remember our management profile concept?
Yeah.
In interface configuration, we can attach services. So for services, we can create management profile. So here we have management profile MGMT1, and these services are enabled into this management profile 1. In case if you want to create multiple management profile, for example, I'm creating ping. It's just a profile name. You can select your service. You can click on OK. Let's create another management profile. So it's called MGMT55. So HTTPS, you can attach some services. You can click on OK. Done. So these management profile you can use in your interface configuration. So 1/3, 1/3, I'm using this interface as L3 interface. Advanced tab, you can click on advanced tab, and here you can get all management profile information, MGMT1, MGMT55. So I'm trying to attach MGMT55 with this Ethernet 1/3 interface. You can click on OK. Clear now?
Yeah. Is required to give the manage profile for the data interface?
Yes, data interfaces. We are trying to enable services, Jeet.
Ah, okay.
We are trying to enable services on data interface because by
Data
default on management port, 3 services are enabled by default, right?
enabled by yeah.
On data interface, if you want to enable any services, you need to create management profile.
Okay. If we want, that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
By default, nothing is allowed. Okay, but
Nothing is
in case if you want to enable any service, you can. Now let's go with the object tab. Here is the tab object tab. You can click on object tab, and now you can click on address. Here you can get all object information. Right now
Okay.
we have IP version 6, user 1, object. This is object name, and this is IP address. This is another object, LAN 200, 200, 201. This is object name, and this is IP address information. In case if you want to create multiple objects, you can create here. I told you, you can create multiple object, and these objects you can use in your configuration, like IP address object, services object, you can create. So let's create another object, for example. It's called marketing hyphen user 5. It's just a name. It's object
Okay.
name. Into
Okay.
this object, I'm using IP address 200, 200, 255/32. It means I'm creating single IP address object. Ajit, clear?
Yeah, but
Single IP address object. Clear now?
yeah.
You can click on OK. Let's create another object. You can click on add. You can click on add, and you can give a name. For example, sales hyphen team 5. Now this time I'm not using type IPNet mask. This time I'm using range option. Type is what? Range option, because I want to create a range object. Range object. So 200, 200, 200, 75 to 200, 200, 280. Just an example. So I'm creating 6 IP address object. Why? Because in my LAN side, see it. Here we have a switch. Here we have a switch. This is inside machine, and we have multiple computers. For example, 200, 200, 275, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. So in case if I want to configure any policy for these 6 IP address, Ajit, in case if I want to configure any policy for these 6 IP address, so I can create a range object 75
Range
to 80.
80.
And this object I can use in my configuration. I will show you how to use these objects in configuration, but let's create first.
Okay.
So you can click on OK. So what you can do, you can create single IP address object. You can create range object, or you can create subnet object, for example, subnet object. Okay. So it's called new team subnet object. So 200.200.200.0/24. You can click on OK. So you can create range object, you can create single IP address object, you can create subnet object. Clear?
Yeah.
Now these objects we can use in our configuration. For example, right now I'm giving you the idea, but we'll discuss object option in policy. So for example, if I'm creating any security policy rule, what is security policy rule? We'll discuss later. It's a separate topic, Ajit. What is security policy? What is NAT policy? We have a dedicated topic. Okay. But right now I'm giving you idea how to attach your object information into policy. So for example, I'm creating a rule. I'm creating a security policy rule to allow my traffic. So here you can click on source. In source, you can define what? Ajit.
An object.
You can define source address. In source address, if you click on add, you can get all object information. For example, I'm creating this policy. this policy for sales team 5. You can attach this object. Done.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
So you can create
So
single. Yes. Yes.
no,
Any
no,
question?
you go ahead, go ahead.
So now, so you can create object. This is called what? IP address object, single IP address object, subnet object, or range object. And these objects you can use in your configuration, like policy configuration, NAT configuration, authentication policy configuration. You can use these objects into configuration. Clear, Ajit?
Yeah, I got it.
So
Yeah.
this is our interface configuration concept. Wait. Slide is what? Lab part 2. Lab part 2 is done now. How to create object. Let me show you
Check.
how to create object. I hope it's clear for you.
Yeah.
How to create a zone, how to create virtual router,
Virtual.
how to create management profile, and how to configure any L3 interface. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow we can focus on tap interface concept, virtual wire concept, and other options. Clear, Ajit?
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
continue this topic tomorrow. Okay?
Okay. All right. I will do the lab today and we'll try.
Sure.
Okay.
Have you set up your lab, Ajit?
I have the EVNG.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have any
I'm
Palo Alto image? Otherwise, I will share with you.
I want to. I have that Dynastore. You heard about the Dynastore? I got
No.
the image for.
Okay.
So I have trouble with that. What you call cloud. That
Okay, cloud. Okay, you have
no,
Prisma something.
no, not cloud actually. That I forgot. You just take the lab, please.
Okay. See, in case if you need a Palo Alto image, okay, tell me. I have all the images 9.0, 10.0. I can share with you.
Okay, okay.
You can upload this image in EVNG and you can start your practice.
Oh, okay. So I just want to ask you one question. Just go to the lab.
Okay, lab. Okay.
You see the external interface net.
External interface. This option. This one.
Yeah,
Right.
that's our that's a default option, right? We don't no need to
You can
change
right
anything.
click. You can right click on blank space. You can click on network, and in network, please select management option.
Management. Okay, okay.
Okay. If you select management option, this is Wi-Fi modem. This is your Wi-Fi modem.
Wi-Fi modem. Okay.
Yes.
I had some trouble on that case. I didn't understand what is that, how to do it.
If
That's
you
why.
face any issue in lab setup, you can tell me. I can help you.
Okay, okay. I will try today the lab.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's continue our topic tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, dear. Take care. Good
Yeah,
night.
it's a good class. Okay. I am understanding everything
Okay.
normally. Yeah.
Okay. If you face any
Thank
issue,
you.
you can discuss. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Ji.
Okay,
Take
see
care,
you.
dear.
Bye.
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 Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.